My parents kicked me out the moment I landed a job, saying I couldn't keep watching my siblings anymore. Then they spun a fake story to the whole family to cover it up. I fired back by revealing every hidden truth they tried to bury. Now, only 2 months later, they're standing on my doorstep, begging me to help because their world is falling apart without me. My mother pinned me while my father set up my marriage to a dangerous man much older than me, so I ran and exposed everything. Years later, she's ill and begging me to return because I'm family. In my family, girls were married off the moment they got their first period. Didn't matter if you were 12, 13, or 14. The blood meant you were ready for a husband at least triple your age. I grew up with this belief, so in my head it didn't seem that bad, until I turned 11. That's when I watched my cousin Mayam get promised to a 43-year-old man just 3 days after her first period. His previous 2 wives died before turning 20. That was the night I started eating less on purpose. Not because I thought I was fat, and not because I hated food, but because I noticed the thinnest girls in my family got their periods last, and I knew it was my only option. I later learned your body actually needs enough fat to kick off puberty, lol. The other girls called me skeleton, but I didn't care. Girls my age were already promised to men with children older than them. That didn't stop them from training me as a wife. Every Friday from 1 a.m. to 10 a.m., I served meals to male relatives for hours without speaking. If I made noise or met their eyes, I got 10 lashes with a belt. I was forced to hold scorching pots with bare hands to toughen my skin for kitchen work. Every night my mom rubbed whitening cream on my face, so I'd look beautiful. Besides the secret starvation, I played the perfect daughter, no complaints, always saying how excited I was to have kids. But when I was 14 and still periodless, something changed everything. Context. We were in the USA the whole time, lol. My mom had simply convinced us this was normal, and that any girl who refused was doomed to die alone, ugly and useless. Until one teacher insisted we meet after I wore the wrong shirt to school, and she noticed how thin I was. When she stepped out to the bathroom, she forgot to lock her drawer. Inside were books about marriage laws, pamphlets titled Your Rights as a Young Teenager, and When Culture Becomes Crime. I read, jaw on the floor. It was the first time I saw that marriage under 18 was illegal everywhere. No cultural exceptions, no parental consent loopholes. I stole the thinnest pamphlet and tucked it into my waistband. For weeks, when my parents thought I was asleep, I memorized every page, CPS numbers, shelter addresses, the exact phrases that trigger mandatory reporting. I learned teachers, counselors, and doctors must report suspected abuse by law. So I started a wife skills group in my uncle's tool shed. 6 younger cousins who hadn't bled yet, all desperate to avoid their fate. I taught them what I'd learned, which adults were mandated reporters, the words that prompt an investigation. We practiced in whispers. They're forcing me to marry. I'm only 13. Please help. Then, at 15, my body betrayed me. The blood came during morning prep, soaking my white dress. My mother screamed with joy, and every woman in the house rushed over. They beamed, kissed my cheeks, told me how lucky I was. By nightfall, my father had chosen my husband, Hamad Habibi, a construction tycoon who'd buried 2 wives by 23. Kidney failure, said the certificates. Women whispered it was too many pregnancies too young. 2 days later, my cousin Anna, the girl from the shed, got her period too. Within hours, she was promised to a 51-year-old collector of wives with 8 children older than her. I watched the light drain from her while they discussed her bride price, like livestock. That night, I slipped her my notebook. Every shelter number, every legal fact, every escape plan I'd memorized. Tomorrow, I whispered, tell the science teacher. Use the exact words I taught you. Her hands trembled as she took it. What about you? My wedding's in 2 weeks. I'll figure something out, I said, voice shaking. I was wrong. That night there was a knock. CPS. My father's face shifted from confusion to fury as they asked about Anya, about underage brides, about forced marriages. They needed to speak to every girl in the family under 18. When they left, my family circled like wolves. In their eyes, someone had poisoned the girls with Western lies. They tore apart the house hunting the culprit. My journal was found in the tool shed within an hour, filled with phone numbers and legal notes. My father burned it in front of everyone, calling me diseased, contaminated, and my personal favorite, a cancer that needed to be cut out. The wedding is tomorrow, he announced, before she ruins anyone else. Dawn came too fast. In an hour they'd dress me in red and gold and deliver me to a man who'd already unalived 2 girls. Footsteps approached. I grabbed a plastic bag I'd hidden. Essentials only. A change of clothes, shelter addresses I'd memorized and rewritten, and the $20 I'd stolen from my mom. $1 at a time. The handle turned. I clutched my stomach and doubled over with a groan that wasn't entirely fake. My mother entered in her finest for my wedding day. Get up, she ordered. The beautician arrives in 30 minutes. I groaned louder, pressing my abdomen. Mama, something's wrong. My stomach. She frowned, cautious. Our culture treats a sick bride as a bad omen. What did you eat? Nothing, I gasped, stumbling toward the door. I need the bathroom now. She grabbed my arm. You went 20 minutes ago. Please, I begged, tears flowing. It hurts. She released me, with disgust. 5 minutes. The aunties are waiting. I hurried down the hall, the hidden bag under my loose nightgown. Inside the bathroom, I locked the door and climbed on the toilet. The ceiling tile I'd loosened weeks ago lifted easily. I shoved the bag up, then actually used the toilet to sell the sickness. 3 minutes passed. I flushed, ran water, groaned again. Mama, I can't stop my stomach. Her fist thudded on the door. Open this door. I can't, I cried, climbing the toilet again. The tiny window above had been painted shut years ago, but I'd been working it loose with a butter knife. Just another minute, please. More pounding. More voices. My aunts had joined her. I shoved the frame with everything I had. The paint cracked, then gave. Cool morning air rushed in. The opening was tiny, made for ventilation, not escape, but months of starvation made me small enough. She's taking too long. My father's voice boomed. Break it down. I grabbed the bag from the ceiling and pushed it through first. Then I pulled up, shoulders scraping the frame. The door shook as bodies slammed it. My hip stuck. I bit my tongue to keep from crying out, twisting sideways. The lock splintered just as my legs cleared the window. I dropped 6 feet onto wet grass, ankle twisting but not breaking. Shouts erupted behind me. I ran barefoot, nightgown flapping. I sprinted through our yard into the neighbors. Dogs barked. Lights flicked on. I kept running. Our neighborhood was a maze of identical houses, packed with families from our community. Any of them would return me without question. I cut through the Hassan yard, past the Mahmood pool, around Sal's garden shed. A car engine roared behind me, then another. They'd mobilized fast. I ducked behind the Abdullah trash bins as headlights swept by. My cousin Omar's voice floated through the morning air. Check every street. She can't be far. The main road was 3 blocks. The bus stop 4. I'd mapped this route 100 times, but never barefoot, never with my heart pounding so loud I thought it might explode. I slipped between houses, using cars for cover. My feet left bloody prints on the concrete. Glass lodged in my heel, but I couldn't stop. There, Kareem shouted from the left. A car screeched around the corner. I dove through Mrs. Chen's rose bushes, thorns tearing my nightgown and skin. She wasn't from our community. Maybe she wouldn't recognize me. I limped across her yard into the alley. The bus stop came into view just as the morning bus pulled up. I burst from between buildings, waving frantically. The driver, an older black woman, took one look at my bloody feet and ripped gown and held the door. I climbed the steps, then froze, no money. In my panic, I'd left the $20 in the bag. Please, I whispered. I need to get downtown. I'll pay you back. An elderly woman up front stood and pressed exact change into the machine. Sit down, child, she said softly. She didn't ask questions, just guided me to the seat beside her and handed me tissues. The bus pulled away as Omar's car skidded into the lot. I ducked below the window, but not before seeing his face twisted with rage. The woman shifted, blocking me from view. We rode in silence until downtown, where she slipped a $10 bill into my hand before getting off. Whatever you're running from, she whispered, don't go back. The courthouse was massive, a building I'd only seen through car windows. I limped through metal detectors, leaving bloody footprints on marble. Guards exchanged glances, but didn't stop me. The family court clerk, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, took one look at me and came around the counter. Honey, do you need medical attention? Emergency protective order? I gasped the words I'd memorized. I'm 15. They're forcing me to marry today. Please. She guided me to a chair and brought forms. Where are you staying? We need an address. I recited a shelter address from memory, praying they had space. My phone, forgotten in my bag, started ringing. Mom, then Dad, then Omar, then unknown numbers. Voicemails piled up. I didn't listen. I knew the script. Dishonor. Shame. Curse. Cancer. The clerk helped me fill out the paperwork, her face hardening with each detail. Wives dead at 23, kidney failure from too many pregnancies, forced ceremony scheduled for today. Wait here, she said, disappearing into a back office. She returned with a judge who read my petition right there in the lobby. Granted, he said. Emergency order effective immediately. Full hearing in 2 weeks. I clutched the paper like a lifeline and limped outside. The shelter was 12 blocks away. I made it 3 before remembering they might be full. The call confirmed it. We're completely full, said the voice. We can waitlist you for Thursday. Thursday. 3 days away. I had nowhere to go for 3 days. That's when I remembered Ms. Rodriguez, the teacher who'd show me those pamphlets who'd forgotten to lock her drawer. Maybe she hadn't forgotten at all. 3 buses, and 2 hours later I stood outside Jefferson High. Saturday should have been empty, but her car was there. I noticed she came in on weekends, grading in the quiet. I found her in her classroom, red pen in hand. She looked up and dropped it. Oh my God. She was around the desk in seconds, taking in my feet, my torn gown, the order in my fist. Sit. Don't move. She returned with the nurse's kit and cleaned my feet. Only then did I start crying. Real tears, not the faked ones in the bathroom. They were going to make me marry him today, I sobbed. He lived 2 wives already. I got the order, but the shelter's full and I have nowhere to go, and they're looking for me. She dialed the CPS emergency line. They have to place you somewhere safe. But the voice on the other end wasn't encouraging. 15? We need more evidence of immediate danger. A protective order based on claims isn't enough. Has she been physically harmed? Ms. Rodriguez's face darkened. She has glass in her feet from running barefoot. She's covered in cuts. Self-inflicted during escape doesn't count, the voice said. We need evidence of abuse by the family. My phone rang again. This time Ms. Rodriguez answered. Hello? Her face went pale. Mr. Habibi, no, your daughter isn't. What? No. I heard my father's voice through the speaker, calm and reasonable. His business voice. The one that convinced people he was respectable. She's sick, he was saying. Mental problems. She needs medication. We're very worried. Ms. Rodriguez hung up. How did he know you were here? My phone. Of course. They were tracking me. Delete everything, she said. Factory reset now. As I wiped my phone, she made more calls, CPS supervisors, social workers, legal aid. Each one said the same thing. Without immediate physical danger or stronger evidence, their hands were tied. Then we heard car doors in the lot. Ms. Rodriguez locked the classroom and pulled the blinds. Stay quiet. Footsteps echoed in the hallway, multiple sets. Male voices, Arabic then English. We know she's here, my father called. Her phone showed this location. She's sick. She needs help. They tried the handle, politely at first, then harder. I'm calling 911, Ms. Rodriguez whispered. Wait, let me try something. I rolled up my sleeves to show the circular burns from pot training and the bruises from that morning when my mother tried to force me into the dress. Then I lifted my nightgown just enough to show the belt marks across my back from years of Friday training. Her hands shook while she took photos. Why didn't you show anyone before? I thought it was normal, I whispered, until I read your pamphlets. She called 911. There are multiple men trying to get into my classroom. I have a student in danger. Please hurry. The pounding intensified. Then my uncle's voice. We have her medication. She's bipolar. Schizophrenic. She invents stories. Check the parking lot cameras, I told Ms. Rodriguez. I came alone. If they have medication, they brought it to stage. She called school security. Mr. Williams said he was pulling footage. Sirens wailed in the distance. The pounding stopped. Footsteps retreated. By the time officers arrived, my father had transformed. Gone was the man beating on doors. In his place stood a concerned parent in an expensive suit, holding prescription bottles with my name on them. Thank God you're here, he told the officers. My daughter is very sick. She has delusions. She makes up horrible stories about our family. The officers separated us. One stayed with me and Ms. Rodriguez while 2 spoke with my father and uncles in the hall. She's never been on medication, Ms. Rodriguez insisted. I've taught her for 2 years. Look at these injuries. The officer glanced at my feet. The cuts, the bruises, could be self-inflicted, he said. If she was having an episode, check when those prescriptions were filled, I said suddenly. If I'm so sick, why am I not in the system? No doctor visits? No therapy? Ms. Rodriguez pulled out her laptop. I have essays she wrote, months of them, about family traditions, cultural expectations. They document everything. Subtly. She'd saved them. Every essay where I hid truth between lines, writing about cooking lessons when I meant burning my hands, describing preparing for marriage when I meant beatings for making eye contact. The officer read, frowning deeper each page. Mr. Williams arrived with footage showing my father and uncles arriving, with prescriptions already in hand. Anna, I said suddenly. Call Anna Mansour. She made a report yesterday. She knows everything. But Ms. Rodriguez found they'd moved out of state that morning. No forwarding address. Phone cut off. My father must have sensed the tide turning. His calm cracked. He barked in Arabic to my uncles, gesturing angrily. What's he saying? The officer asked. He's telling them to call the family lawyer, I translated, and something about the dowry being non-refundable. That was his mistake. Mentioning dowry. The officer's face hardened. Sir, what dowry? My father froze. I misspoke. Your English seemed fine 5 minutes ago, the officer said. The next hour blurred. More police. A CPS emergency supervisor. Someone from the DA's office. My father swung between lawsuits and pleas about honor. My uncles invoked religion and parental rights. But the evidence stacked up: the essays, the injuries, the fake prescriptions, the footage, the emergency order I'd filed that morning. She's a minor with credible allegations of abuse and forced marriage, the CPS supervisor said. We're placing her in emergency protective custody. My father exploded. He lunged at me, screaming in Arabic about dishonor. 2 officers held him while he spat threats about girls who betray families. Ms. Rodriguez held my hand as they led him away. The emergency placement coordinator arrived within 20 minutes. A tired woman named Margaret pulled from her weekend. She took one look at my feet and called for medical transport. We need those cuts cleaned, she said, helping me into a wheelchair. The glass needs to come out before infection. Ms. Rodriguez squeezed my shoulder. I'll follow you to the hospital. You're not alone. The ER was chaos. Saturday meant sports injuries and accidents in every bed. A nurse triaged me quickly, noting the glass in my heel and the cuts. While she worked, Margaret made calls, trying to find placement. Yes, I understand you're full, she said into her phone. This is an emergency removal, cultural marriage situation. No, she can't go to regular foster. Yes, specialized placement. Each call ended the same: no beds, no space, not for high-risk cultural cases. Ms. Rodriguez paced the curtained area. There has to be somewhere. Safe houses? Women's shelters? All full, Margaret sighed. Weekends are hard, and cases like this, she dropped her voice, families often try to retrieve the girls. We need secure. The doctor arrived to remove the glass, numbing my heel before working carefully. I bit my lip more from fear than pain. Every minute without placement was another minute for my family to find me. Wait, Ms. Rodriguez said suddenly. I know someone, a retired nurse who worked with the district. She's done emergency placements. Margaret perked up. Is she certified? Let me call. Ms. Rodriguez stepped out and returned a few minutes later with a small smile. Theodora Whitman. Certified for emergency placements. Experience with cultural transition cases. She can take her tonight. Relief washed through me as Margaret started paperwork. The doctor bandaged my feet and prescribed antibiotics. As we prepared to leave, my phone buzzed from an unknown number. You have dishonored us all. This is not over. Margaret documented it immediately. We'll change your number, and you'll need to be cautious online. They can track you in many ways. The ride to Theodora's took 40 minutes through unfamiliar neighborhoods far from my community. Ms. Rodriguez followed in her car and refused to leave until she knew I was settled. The house was modest but secure. Cameras on every corner, a tall fence. Theodora, a sturdy woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and gentle hands, met us at the door. She took in my bandaged feet and exhausted face like a nurse assessing a patient. Come in, dear. Let's get you settled. Inside was warm and comfortable, not the cold marble and gold of my parents' place. She showed me a small bedroom with a lock on the inside. For your peace of mind, she said. The windows have alarms, and I've got motion sensors. You're safe here. Margaret finished paperwork while Ms. Rodriguez helped me unpack my few things. Before leaving, my teacher pressed a card into my hand. My personal number. Call anytime. That first night, I barely slept. Every car made me jump. Every shadow felt like an uncle coming to drag me back. Theodora found me by the window at 3 a.m., watching the street. They came for the last girl too, she said quietly, settling beside me. 3 brothers and a father at the gate demanding I return their property. She smiled grimly. Police response time to this address is under 2 minutes. I made sure. Sunday blurred into safety planning. Theodora set up a new phone with a number known only to her, Margaret, and Ms. Rodriguez. We walked through scenarios. What to do if approached, how to vary routes, which neighbors could be trusted. Tomorrow we'll register you for school in this district, she said. Under a protective order. You can't go back to Jefferson. The thought of starting over was terrifying, but hiding mattered more. Monday morning brought the first test. The doorbell rang at 6 a.m., and the monitor showed my aunt and 2 female cousins with food containers and worried faces. We know she's here, my aunt said into the intercom. We just want to talk. Her grandmother is sick with worry. Theodora didn't respond, just called the police non-emergency line. Yes, the subjects from the protective order are at my property. Thank you. They left before the patrol arrived, but not before my cousin held up a sign to the camera. We love you. Come home. Manipulation begins. That afternoon, Margaret called with updates. Your father hired a lawyer. They're claiming parental alienation and demanding your return. Can they do that? They can try. With the order and CPS involved, unlikely, still prepare for a fight. Tuesday brought flowers, an enormous bouquet on the step with a card. Our hearts are broken. Please forgive us. Love, Mama. Theodora photographed and disposed of them. Document everything, she reminded me. Every contact. Every attempt. Wednesday I started at the new school, enrolled under sealed records. The counselor looped in, assigned a buddy, and arranged for me to eat in the library if needed. We've had similar cases, she said. Your safety is our priority. But safety felt fragile when I saw a familiar car in the lot after school, one of my uncle's work trucks, parked where everyone leaving would pass. I ducked back inside and called Theodora from the counselor's office. She arrived in minutes, parked directly in front of the truck, and walked me to her car while recording everything on her phone. Let them know we see them, she said. Let them know we're not afraid. Thursday's mail brought legal documents, my father petitioning for my return, claiming I was brainwashed and in danger of losing my cultural identity. Margaret connected me with a legal aid lawyer named Patricia, a fierce advocate specializing in these cases. Standard tactics, Patricia said, scanning the papers. They'll claim religious freedom, parental rights, cultural preservation. We'll counter with child welfare, documented abuse, and your testimony. Will I have to see them in court? Not if I can help it, but be ready. Friday morning, the real escalation began. Theodora woke me grim. Check your social media, don't log in, just look. On a borrowed laptop, she showed me my father's public Facebook post, my photo beside a plea. Please help us find our daughter. She is mentally ill and needs medication. She was taken by people filling her head with lies. We fear for her safety. Comments poured in, family friends offering prayers, community members sharing, some offering rewards. This is witness intimidation, Patricia said when we called. He's trying to control the narrative. We respond carefully, but the damage spread. By afternoon, the post was shared hundreds of times. My photo circulated in community WhatsApp groups, warning about the sick girl. Then came the first real betrayal. One of the girls from my wife skills group, my younger cousin Margie, who I tried to protect, posted a video. She sat primly beside her mother, reciting lines. She told us terrible lies about our family. Our parents wanted to hurt us. She made us fear our culture. Please, if you see her, help bring her home. My heart shattered watching her blink eyes, knowing the pressure behind them. Theodora held me while I cried. They're using everything you love against you. That doesn't make you wrong. Saturday brought a surprise visitor. The doorbell showed a young woman with an envelope. I'm from the law office, she called. I have documents for the minor child. Theodora was cautious. Leave them in the mailbox. But as she turned, I caught her profile. It was my cousin Sarah, 3 years older, wearing a wig and business clothes. Don't go out, Theodora warned, but I was already at the window. Sarah looked up, met my eyes. For a moment her mask slipped, and I saw tears. Then she composed herself, placed the envelope, and left quickly. Inside were photos, my grandmother looking frail, my little sister at her birthday, my chair empty, my mother crying while cooking my favorite dish. Each image chosen to maximize guilt. The last photo chilled me. Anna, back from wherever they'd sent her, stood between her parents, wearing an engagement ring, eyes dead. On the back, someone wrote, she came home. She's happy now. You could be too. They brought her back, I whispered. They're going to make her marry him anyway. Patricia cursed when we called. This complicates things. If Anna recants, she won't, I said. Look at her eyes. She's terrified. Fear doesn't matter if she won't testify. Sunday's attack was more direct. Theodora's neighbor reported men photographing the house from across the street. By the time police came, they were gone. The message was clear. We know where you are. Maybe we should move you, Margaret suggested in an emergency meeting. Theodora shook her head. Running tells them they're winning. We stay. We document. We fight. Monday was the hearing for the permanent order. Patricia prepped me, but nothing prepared me for that courtroom. My entire extended family filled one side. Aunts, uncles, cousins, community leaders in their finest, staring at me with pity and disgust. My parents sat in front, my mother dabbing her eyes. I took my seat beside Patricia, trying not to shake. My father's lawyer went first, painting a loving family torn apart by Western corruption. He brought character witnesses. Our mom, family friends, even my pediatrician, who testified I'd never shown signs of abuse because I was never alone with him. I whispered to Patricia. My mother always answered for me. Our turn. Patricia laid out the evidence. Photos of my injuries, essays documenting years of prepping for forced marriage, security footage of my father arriving with fake prescriptions. Then she called Ms. Rodriguez. My teacher described finding me reading pamphlets, my weight loss, the essays that concerned her. Did you ever report these concerns? My father's lawyer asked. I tried to build trust first. I thought if she felt safe, so you didn't report. You didn't follow mandatory reporting. I reported when I had concrete evidence. After allegedly influencing her with anti-cultural propaganda, he pressed. Patricia objected, but the damage was done. They were painting my teacher as the manipulator. When I testified, Patricia kept me on facts. The burn scars, the beatings, the men my cousins were promised to, Hammad Habibi's dead wives. These are serious allegations, the judge said. Do you have proof of these deaths? Death certificates are public record, Patricia replied. Both women died of kidney failure before 23. Both had multiple pregnancies. My father's lawyer stood. Kidney failure is medical. Unless you allege my client murdered them. I'm alleging a pattern, Patricia countered. Young brides. Multiple pregnancies. Early deaths. And now they want to give him. Objection, my father's lawyer shouted. Inflammatory. The judge called for order, but I could see doubt. Without Anna's testimony, without concrete proof beyond my word. Then the doors opened. A woman entered with a CPS worker. She was young, maybe 25, in a hijab, walking with a slight limp. Your Honor, said the CPS worker, this witness has relevant information. My father went rigid. My mother gasped. The woman took the stand. My name is Fatima Habibi. I was Hamad Habibi's first wife, she said quietly. I didn't die. The courtroom erupted. My father's lawyer objected. My family whispered furiously. I was 15 when I married him, Fatima continued once order returned. By 20 I'd had 4 children, and my kidneys were failing. My family told everyone I died, but a nurse helped me escape. I've been in hiding 5 years. She met my eyes. When I saw the Facebook posts, I knew I had to come forward. I couldn't let him do to another girl what he did to me. Her testimony was devastating. Pregnancies forced too close together, beatings when she didn't conceive fast enough, a family that knew but prioritized reputation. They'd rather pretend I died than admit I left, she said. That's what awaits girls who try to escape, death or erasure. My father's lawyer tried to discredit her, but she brought medical records, proof of injuries, documentation of kidney damage from multiple pregnancies, even photos of the fake grave her family built. When the judge ruled, it was clear. The protective order would be permanent. My parents would have no contact. Any violation meant charges. My father stood as we prepared to leave. You are no daughter of mine, he said in Arabic. You are dead to us. Sit down, sir, the judge warned. My mother stood too, removing her hijab in a gesture of ultimate rejection. We have no daughter, she announced. She died today. Walking out felt like walking through fire. Family turned their backs. Some spat. Others muttered curses. Fatima caught my arm gently. You're not alone, she whispered. There are more of us than they admit. Outside, Theodora waited with the car running. As we drove away, I saw my family gathering on the steps, my father gesturing on his phone. It's not over, Patricia warned. They'll try other tactics. She was right. Within days, the harassment evolved. Since they couldn't contact me, they found other ways. My old social media, deactivated, was hacked and reactivated with posts about mental illness and cries for help. Photos of me were edited to look unstable and spread widely. Businesses where Theodora shopped began refusing service. We don't want trouble, a shop owner said. Your foster girl. Her family is powerful. Then came more lawyers, not criminals, civil suits for defamation. Emotional distress, alienation of affection. Baseless but expensive. They're trying to bankrupt us into silence, Patricia explained. The worst came through other girls. Videos appeared online, cousins and family friends describing how I corrupted them with dangerous ideas. She told us our parents wanted to sell us, one cousin said. Made us fear our families. I recognized the coaching, the fear behind their eyes. These were girls I'd try to save, now weaponized against me. Theodora increased security after we found footprints in the garden. Police couldn't prove anything, but we knew someone was watching. Maybe you should consider witness protection, Margaret suggested during a rough week. I thought of Fatima hiding 5 years. Of other girls still trapped. Running meant abandoning them. No, I decided. I stay. I fight. I show them it's possible. The next challenge came from an unexpected source. A woman appeared claiming to be from a cultural mediation service. We specialize in family reconciliation, she said smoothly. Perhaps a supervised meeting. Theodora shut the door, but the woman left pamphlets about the tragedy of cultural disconnection. Similar approaches followed. A therapist for cultural reintegration, a religious leader offering to mediate, even a distant relative begging for a last visit with my dying grandmother. We documented, reported, rejected, but it wore us down. Then Patricia called with news. Anna wants to meet. My heart leapt, then sank. Is it a trap? I don't know, she said. She contacted me through her lawyer. She says she has information. The meeting was at Patricia's office with security. When Anna walked in, I barely recognized her. Thinner, eyes dull, moving like something inside had cracked. They made me come back, she whispered once alone. Said they'd hurt my little sister if I didn't. Anya, I'm so sorry. Listen, they're planning something. I heard my father. They've given up on getting you back. That's good, no. Her eyes filled. Now they want to make an example of you, to show other girls what happens when you betray family. What do you mean? I don't know exactly. They mentioned your new school and sending a message. Everyone will understand. My blood ran cold. When? Soon. Maybe this week. I'm sorry. They don't trust me now. She gripped my hands. Be careful. Change everything. Don't follow patterns. They've been watching. Security escorted her out, but not before she slipped a piece of paper into my palm. An address. Other girls, she mouthed. Help them. That night, Theodora and I made plans. I'd take a few days off school, vary my schedule, never be alone. We underestimated them. Wednesday morning, I was in the kitchen when an alarm triggered, not the perimeter, the window sensor in my bedroom. Lock yourself in the bathroom, Theodora ordered. Already dialing 911. I ran, hearing glass shatter and male voices, Arabic. Not my father or uncles, they were too smart to come. Hired men, distant relatives, community members willing to do the dirty work. The bathroom door was solid wood with a good lock, but it wouldn't hold forever. They searched, calling my name, promising they just wanted to talk. Police are 3 minutes out, Theodora called through the door. Hold on. The knob rattled. Pounding. They'd found me. Come out, girl. Don't make it harder. Your family misses you. I pressed against the far wall, scanning for anything to defend myself. Hairspray, scissors. Not much against grown men. The frame began to splinter. One more hit, and sirens. Blessed sirens screaming down our street. The pounding stopped. Footsteps ran. Doors slammed. By the time police entered, the men were gone, leaving broken glass and muddy prints. We need to move you tonight, Margaret said within the hour. This placement is compromised. As I packed, I thought about Anna's warning, the address she gave me. All the girls still trapped. I want to do something first, I told Theodora. Before we go, I need to make a call. I dialed Ms. Rodriguez. Remember those pamphlets? I think it's time we made more. A lot more. They could move me, threaten me, hunt me, but they couldn't silence the knowledge spreading. Every girl who learned her rights was a victory they couldn't undo. The war for my freedom wasn't over. But as we drove away to another placement, I carried something more powerful than fear. The certainty that I'd already won the battle that mattered most. I proved it was possible to say no, to choose differently, to survive their rejection, and build a new life. And that message would spread whether my family liked it or not. The new safe house was 40 miles away, a small apartment above a retired police officer's garage. Margaret explained he had housed girls whose families wouldn't stop hunting them. Security was tighter than Theodora's. Motion sensors, cameras, panic buttons in every room. I spent the first night staring at the address Anna had given, a house in a neighborhood I knew, another cluster of our community, more girls who needed options. Ms. Rodriguez visited the next morning with boxes of supplies. We decided to create information packets, not just pamphlets, but detailed guides hidden inside school notebooks, phone numbers disguised as math problems, legal info tucked into history homework. We'll distribute through school nurses, she explained. They're mandatory reporters and can spot at-risk students. While we worked, Patricia called with updates. The men who broke into Theodora's were identified through fingerprints, distant cousins on my father's side. Warrants issued, but they'd fled the state. Your family also filed an appeal on the order, she added, claiming religious discrimination. The packets took 3 days. Each one had a hidden pocket with emergency numbers, legal rights, and step-by-step escape plans. We made 50, knowing most would be tossed by suspicious parents. But if even one reached a girl who needed it. Thursday brought a new development. A social worker arrived with a teenage girl, eyes wide with fear. Different family from our community, same story, promised to a 47-year-old. Her period had come last week. I found your notebook, she whispered to me. Hidden in my cousin's room, the one with math problems that were phone numbers. My heart soared. The information was already moving beyond my reach. Margaret arranged her emergency placement while I sat with her explaining what happens next. Fear shifted to determination as she realized she had options. That night, my new phone rang from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. Don't hang up, a young voice pleaded. I'm calling from a friend's phone. We're 6 girls. We found your information. We need help. I grabbed a pen, writing as she spoke in rushed whispers. 6 girls, ages 12 to 16, 3 already promised. They met in secret, sharing notebook pages. Can you get to teachers? Counselors? I asked. We're trying, but our parents watch us constantly now. After what you did, they're all scared. I gave her phrases to use, the names of teachers at different schools who would respond. I made her repeat emergency numbers back. I told her about the courthouse cameras and how to file emergency orders. What if they catch us? She asked, voice trembling. Then you try again, I said. And again, until you're free. Friday morning, Patricia called with urgent news. Your father's lawyer filed an emergency motion. They claim you're recruiting minors into danger. They want criminal charges for teaching girls their legal rights, calling A corruption of minors, interference with parental rights. It won't stick, but it's meant to scare you silent. I was done being scared. That afternoon I met with a journalist Ms. Rodriguez knew, someone who covers human rights. She agreed to write about the underground network of girls sharing information, protecting identities while exposing the practice. No photos. No real names, she promised. But people need to know this is happening here in America. The article wouldn't run for weeks, but knowing it would exist felt like victory. Saturday's mail brought a package. No return address. Postmarked from another state. Inside were photos and a letter in shaky handwriting. The photos showed a young woman in nursing scrubs at a graduation ceremony. The letter was from Fatima. "I wanted you to see what's possible," she wrote. 5 years of hiding, but I built a life, became a nurse, found love with someone who sees my worth beyond being someone's property. Stay strong. I cried holding those photos, proof that survival can lead to more. Sunday was quiet until evening when Margaret called. 3 more girls came forward today. Different families, all citing the packets. CPS is opening investigations. The backlash was swift. Monday morning, my father's lawyer held a press conference on the courthouse steps, painting me as a troubled teen destroying families, corrupting children with Western ideology. Several community leaders stood behind him. "She targets vulnerable girls," he told cameras, filling their heads with lies about loving families who only want to preserve culture.
Patricia was ready.
She gathered statements from teachers, social workers, and counselors who'd seen the pattern for years, but hadn't known how to help. The retired officer I stayed with even spoke about the lengths families take to retrieve girls. The real blow came Tuesday. A video surfaced, Margie again, but this time with 4 other girls from my wife's skills group, reciting how I tried to turn them against their families. She said our parents were evil, one girl stated flatly. Said our culture was wrong. Made us hate who we are. I recognized the careful word choices. To outsiders, it looked damning. "Don't watch more," the retired officer advised, closing the laptop. "They're trying to break you." Wednesday, everything accelerated. Patricia called early. The journalist's editor received legal threats, defamation, massive lawsuits. Then Margaret brought news that made my blood run cold. One of the girls who called last week, her family found out. They're moving her out of state tomorrow. "Which one?" I asked, already knowing. "The oldest, the bravest, the one most likely to run. Samira, 16. She was supposed to meet a counselor today." I thought fast. The courthouse, if she can get there before they leave. Margaret was already calling, alerting authorities. But we knew, once girls cross state lines, they rarely resurface. That afternoon, I made a decision. Despite protests, I insisted on going to the courthouse. Not inside, too risky, but nearby, where Samira might see me if she got out. The retired officer drove and parked where we could watch. For 2 hours, nothing. Then a van pulled up. I saw her, Samira, pressed between 2 ants being walked toward the entrance. Not for protection. For passport documentation. They were taking her out of the country. She saw me through the window. Our eyes met for a moment. I pressed my hand to the glass and mouthed, "Run." She couldn't, not with 2 ants gripping her. But as they passed security, she did something else. Dropped to the ground, screaming about stomach pain. Classic move from my playbook. Security responded, calling for medical help. In the chaos, Samira grabbed an officer's arm. I couldn't hear her words, but I saw his expression change. He spoke into his radio, and more officers appeared. Her aunts tried to pull her up, insisting she was fine. Samira kept screaming, kept holding the officer's arm. Within minutes, CPS arrived. "We need to go," the retired officer said, starting the engine.
"Now."
As we drove away, I saw my uncle emerge from the van, phone to his ear, gesturing furiously. They'd lost another one. Thursday blurred with legal meetings. Patricia built a case against the intimidation, documenting every threat and harassment. The journalist found a publisher willing to risk the lawsuits. More girls came forward, not just from my community, but from others who heard whispers of the network. "You started something," Patricia said. "Something they can't stop." Friday morning I woke to sirens. Not unusual here, but these stopped close, too close. The retired officer checked cameras. "Stay back," he ordered, hand on his service weapon. Through the window I saw flames. A car in the lot burning. Not his car. One that hadn't been there last night. Firefighters worked while police found something in the trunk. Dolls dressed in white wedding gowns, burned beyond recognition. The message was clear. "We're moving you again," Margaret said when she arrived. I was tired of running.
"No."
"They want me scared and hidden. I'm done giving them what they want." The argument lasted hours. We compromised. I'd stay, but with increased security. Off-duty officers rotating shifts, panic buttons, linked to 911, and I'd vary my location. Never sleeping in the same place 2 nights in a row. Saturday's news brought unexpected hope. The article went online early, and went viral within hours. Comments poured in from women who escaped similar situations, offering support and resources. Organizations I'd never heard of reached out, wanting to help expand the network. The best message came from Lana, a single text from an unknown number. 12 girls in 3 states now have the notebooks. They're making copies. You did it. Sunday was quiet but felt like the calm before something. My family wouldn't accept this defiance without a final move. It came Monday morning, not violence this time, but worse in their eyes. A formal announcement in the community newsletter. I had been officially disowned, not just by my parents, but by the entire extended family. My name erased from family trees, my photos removed from homes. Anyone who spoke to me would face the same fate. In their world, it was worse than death, it was erasure. But as I read it, I felt something unexpected. Relief. They'd played their final card, and I was still standing. Tuesday brought a flood. Girls who'd been watching saw that the worst punishment hadn't destroyed me. 3 more emergency orders were filed that day. 2 girls made it to shelters. One was caught but told her teachers before her family could move her. Wednesday, I met with organizations that reached out. They wanted to formalize the network, create a proper support system with legal backing and safe houses specifically for these situations. We'll call it the Freedom Network, one woman said. Hidden in plain sight like your notebooks. Thursday was my court date for renewing the permanent order. The courtroom was packed, not with my family, who'd given up that fight, but with girls and women who'd escaped, social workers who helped them, teachers who noticed signs. My father's lawyer made one last attempt, arguing that disownment proved they wanted no contact. The judge shut him down. Disownment doesn't erase threats or crimes, she said. The order stands. Leaving court, Fatima waited outside. She'd driven 3 hours to be there, to show me I wasn't alone. We didn't need words. We hugged while photographers captured the moment. 2 girls who refused to disappear. Friday, the Freedom Network held its first official meeting, 15 volunteers, including Ms. Rodriguez and Theodora. We planned routes for packet distribution, safe house locations, emergency response protocols. What started with stolen pamphlets was becoming real. That night my phone rang. Another unknown number. Another girl with a voice shaking with fear and hope. I found her notebook, she whispered. Can you help me? Yes, I said, grabbing my pen. Tell me everything. As she spoke, I thought of all the girls still trapped, still believing they had no choice. The network would grow. Information would spread. Some would escape. Others wouldn't. But every girl who learned her rights was a victory. My family erased me, but I became something they can't erase. Proof their daughters can choose differently. That knowledge will spread through whispers and hidden notebooks, through brave girls risking everything for freedom. The war isn't over. It might never be. But as I gave another terrified girl the words that could save her life, I knew we'd already won the battle that mattered most. We proved it's possible to say no.